Welcome back to Business Strategy 450. I hope you've had a good week, and I hope that the first week in our class has been a good one for you. I know there's been a few bumps along the way relative to the use of Cengage and some of the other technology, but hopefully we'll get those bugs worked out and the rest of the semester will go a bit more smoothly. But I do want to welcome you back and at this stage just do a quick recap of some of what we've done over the last week, our week one recap. First, we did go through some introductions. I provided an introduction of myself, and each of you has provided your getting to know you questionnaire. Thank you for doing that. I think I still need a few more from a few more students, but once I get all of those, I'm looking forward to putting together a directory for use in the class. We also reviewed the syllabus. I just want to let you know that the syllabus is going to change a little bit, and I think it's going to be clear when you get to the next full lecture for this week, week 2, that you'll understand why I'm going to be making a couple of tweaks. Nothing that changes the substance of the course, some timing changes on a couple of items, none of the assignments, just a couple of items like the appraisal, the actual mid-semester course appraisal. And you'll be seeing some additional enhancements to the course this week that I think will make this community a little bit more robust and an opportunity for us to be able to share more insights in the class. We also talked a little bit about the required reading. The required reading, as you'll recall, is Strategic Management, Concepts and Cases. That is the text that's available in ebook or ebook plus hard copy. I did get a couple of questions during the week about whether there was a need to get both, and the answer is no. I intentionally chose the ebook option in order to save you money. It's substantially more cost effective. I recognize in order to use it, there's a few complications with Cengage, and you have to use multiple access codes. And for a couple of you, that's created a few bits of complication. Hopefully those issues have been resolved. If not, please let me know. And if you do still need assistance, Laura Sandhusen at Cengage has been very helpful for the couple of people who have had technical issues. As you may recall, last week our main topics were competition and the competitive advantage, essentially your strategic competitive advantage against your competition in terms of creating above average returns in the context of your strategic goals and your strategic mission. We also talked a little bit about vision and mission and the importance of having a clearly articulated vision and mission. And that's one thing that you'll be seeing a note from me about. I have decided as part of some of the enhancements for the course that each of you can have the option to generate your own personal vision and mission with identified strategic objectives. And if you put some effort into it, I'm willing to give an additional 5 points on top of your grade for that. And I will be providing over the next week or two some instructions on how to do that. It's not a required assignment, but if it's something that you're interested in doing, and I'd encourage you to do it because I think some of the skills that we're going to learn in this course can be applied to your personal life and the goals that you have for your business and personal life. So I'd suggest it might be worthwhile. If it is, you can also get a little bit of extra credit as a result of it. And finally, we talked about the strategic management process in some detail. And as you know, the book, the course, and all of the associated materials are really designed around the strategic management process. And hopefully we'll be able to pull that process together in a way that makes sense to you. Now I know you all, or not everybody, but several people have had some technology woes with Cengage. As I said, please let me know if you're still having trouble. I'm going to be adding some additional layers of interaction in the course. I will be offering, and you'll be seeing some invitations to join our own closed social network. It will be called BStrat 450 Network. In it, you'll find a series of forums, blogs, videos, and other interactions. It also provides some technology that you can use to interact as individuals and to share work and share documents as individuals. Frankly, I'm just not real satisfied with Manhattan as a tool. So all of our core materials will be issued through Manhattan. We'll do all of our submission of formal assignments through Manhattan, but I'm going to try to encourage all of our interaction as a learning community in the BStrat 450 network, which you will be getting an invitation for. I've also set up a YouTube channel for our class, and I hope that by setting that channel up, I can get the lectures posted there and have all of our any of our media-oriented activities other than the videos that come with the text, which are, because they're licensed, cannot reside out in YouTube, but everything else can reside in YouTube. So hopefully you'll have a number of different places where you can access information easily. Please look in Manhattan for some more details on some of the changes that I'm making. Now, during the week, I asked you to send me a note, and many of you have. I'd appreciate it if I received a note from those of you who haven't, indicating your view of our learning objectives in this course. I just think that in a strategy course, it's fundamentally important for us to know what our goals, what our objectives are, and fundamentally what the vision and mission of this course is. And so I wanted each of you to think about it, and got some very good response. First, one student suggested that the primary learning objective was to learn a way to be a strategic manager, and I think that's a fair statement. It's sort of a broad and accurate statement of what you hopefully will get out of this course. Another suggested that we should evaluate the financial implications of a firm's strategy, and that will certainly be a component of the learning objectives of this class. Another indicated that we should develop that the learning objective is to develop an organization's strategies and apply and implement these strategies. And again, clearly that's an accurate statement, though a bit broad, but it's an accurate statement nonetheless. Another indicated it was to deal with the pace of change, and certainly I think in my first lecture I talked a bit about the sort of extraordinary pace of change in the business world, and I think that you will find that is a critical underpinning of much of your analysis during the semester. Another indicated that we should learn to apply strategic management theories in case studies, discussions, and video conferences, and I think that's certainly true, and it, I think, appropriately it summarizes the three major areas of communication. The reason that I'm using case studies is I think it gives you something to react to. Discussions are certainly going to be a vehicle for us to share views, as will the video conferences. But overarching all of that, and as you'll see in this week, I'm going to apply one more activity throughout the class that will drive many of these discussions. My hope is to use this class as sort of a living, breathing strategic exercise, and the plan is to have all of us evaluate the class from the perspective of a strategic analysis, and so that along the way I can make improvements, make it a better course for you, use the discussions as a vehicle not only for feedback for the class, but to apply the strategic principles we learn to the class. You pay a lot for these courses, your family, and you certainly incur a lot of expense to be in these programs, and it seemed to me that it would make sense to look at the class as a product, as a service, and evaluate it from a strategic perspective. And that's going to be the recurring theme throughout the semester, to try to bring this as close to home as possible. And finally, someone indicated that we should understand the components of the strategic management process, and I think that at the core is the key learning objective for the course. It is your ability to be able to apply the critical concepts that are embedded in the strategic management process, which is illustrated in that, as you may recall, in this chart. And as you can see, that process starts fundamentally at the level of vision and mission. Vision and mission then builds out into two layers, but really you have to get to the strategy formulation, which we'll be spending a fair amount of time this semester on, and then you have to implement your strategy. You have to evaluate whether the strategy actually generated above average returns. Then you come full circle back where you look to your external environment and your internal environment to determine what your vision and mission is. So it becomes a cycle. So to the extent that you can't generate above average returns, you're going to have to think about your strategic outcomes, think about some new strategic actions and new inputs that would change your vision and mission so that you can implement a strategy, formulate a strategy that can be implemented to generate above average returns. So taking that concept and then applying it in the context of our class, which we're going to begin to do this week, I'd like us to take the core learning objectives and think a bit about how those should be applied as our vision and mission. And then I would also like us to begin to think critically about this course, what can be improved, where there's opportunities to fix it, to make it a truly strategically competitive, a course that has a competitive advantage over other courses of its type. And so over the next several weeks, you'll be evaluating the course, but also evaluating options from external resources to determine whether there's ways that it could be enhanced. And it'll all be based on a basic thesis that there are ways of learning, of sharing knowledge, of collaborating that are better than the traditional lecture model. Although I will continue to provide these lectures and continue to provide foundational readings, because at the core, your learning objectives can't be met if we don't do that. But I want this class to be as collaborative as possible, and hopefully you'll be able to see throughout the semester that we make enhancements as a result of the work we do together in applying the strategic principles that we'll be learning in the class. So based on that, and now that you've had a recap and maybe a little bit of a preview of what this week is going to look like and the next several weeks will look like, let's move on to the lecture slides for week 2. Those lecture slides will be available in Manhattan, as they always are. And if you have any questions about that, certainly post those questions on Manhattan. Thank you.